In today's World Traveler, we are taking you to the Alps, and then we'll be traveling up to northern Italy to have a look at the great Dolomite Mountains, and then on to Austria. We're heading to the town of Murano, which will be our base for a couple of days, to see the Dolomites, which are the very vertical extension of the Alps in the northern part of Italy. And we travel by train to get there, and once we're there, we take some bus tours and a variety of ways of getting around, including riding a cable car up to the top of one of the peaks for quite the panorama view. We're standing here in the heart of the Dolomites. This is a fantastic view. You take a cable car up and you have a 360-degree panorama looking out in all directions. There's snow-capped peaks and beautiful green valleys. It's quite a sight here in the Dolomites. We're in the north of Italy, and a region that's called the South Tyrol, and it borders on Austria and also borders on the southern part of Switzerland. But these mountains, the Dolomites, are unique to Italy. It's the Italian version of the Alps, very steep peaks. We've done this tour of the Alps several times in recent years in a variety of itineraries. Sometimes we do it so that we're just in Switzerland itself, and other times, as you're seeing in today's program, we have a little bit of Italy here in the northern area of the country at the Dolomites, and then we swing on over to Austria and then proceed into Switzerland for the main part of the tour. Behind me is the Sassalunga, combination of three mountain peaks with the five-finger peak right in the middle. A really spectacular and harmoniously beautiful piece of nature here. The Dolomites are quite unique in the Alps. It's a part of the Alps, but in this case, they are just vertical thrusts of bare rock. We're going to be leaving Italy and heading for Austria. We'll be taking the train from Murano to Innsbruck. It's turning into a beautiful day. In fact, for the rest of the next 2 weeks, we had hardly any rain, maybe a day and a half of scattered shower here and there, but mostly great weather. When you think of the Alps, you might think that they're just in Switzerland, but of course they extend into the countries all around Switzerland. In fact, 2/3 of Austria is covered with the Alps. When you travel on the trains, you carry your own suitcases because there's no porters in the train stations, so it's a good idea to bring a smaller, medium-sized suitcase, maybe 24 inches. And you can see how easy it is to get through the train stations. There's generally escalators or elevators. Arriving in the heart of downtown Innsbruck. Innsbruck itself is the largest city in the Alps. Innsbruck is even different than most of the other historic towns of Europe because it's older. You get this medieval feeling from the arcades that are still preserved from the ancient days, dating back 500 years to the late Middle Ages, the early Renaissance. We're getting ready for another busy day. This will be a walking tour with a local guide who'll tell us all about the history.
Charles V came into power after the death of Emperor Maximilian in 1519. In those days, large parts of South America belonged to Spain, and Spain was Habsburgian. Now can you imagine how big this empire had been? It was a huge empire. So the Habsburgs had been one of the most important dynasties of Europe.
The town of Innsbruck is more than 800 years old, and many of these buildings in the heart of the old town date back 600 years. Most other cities of Europe have grown with the times. They might have become more of a Baroque city, representing a time period of the 18th century, 17th century perhaps. But here we're back into the 16th century and even as early as the 15th century, so it's ancient. And plus it's beautiful. It's a small place, it's easily managed. Some of the buildings have been later developed here in a Baroque style, for example. It's the only major town that's completely surrounded by the mountains, right nestled into the middle of the Alps. One of the great things about Innsbruck is that the mountain peaks are right inside the town. For now, we're poking around town, having a look at some of the restaurants and some of the shops, some of the kinds of things that you can buy when you're here. There's always unique souvenirs in any distinct region in Europe. And here in the Tyrol, you'll find a lot of alpine type things to purchase and bring home with you. And we continue walking with our local guide who fills us in on more of the history. And she's going to take us into the cathedral and then into the Grand Palace of the Habsburgs. It really helps to have a local expert explain some of the many historic things that you're looking at.
And also inside, very beautiful, a beautiful gold-plated silver altar. This altar is just beautiful. Here you can see very good this beautiful design in the corners. This is typically rococo. You see in the center there is this funny decoration. This is typically for the rococo. So here, for example, we have the Teutonic Order, the Order of the Golden Fleece, and here's the Order of St. Stephen. Beautiful is here this table. You have here beautiful plates of Augarten. Augarten is one of the most important manufacturers in Austria and in Europe. And the glass you find, the glasses are of Lobmeier of Vienna. It's also very, very important. It's a beautiful table.
With our Alpine tour, we've deliberately chosen a mix of countries and cultures to visit. There's a lot of the Germanic culture, of course, in Austria. They speak German. They have a close historic tie with Germany, and they have a bit of a Germanic attitude, although in Austria you'll find the people are considerably more relaxed and easygoing than your typical German personality. They're a little bit less driven, a little bit more Southern European, on the fringe, more country folk. Very friendly people to be around. There's 150 mountain lifts in the vicinity of the city. There's 1,200 miles of hiking trails, and there's 250 hikers' huts. It's a brief walk over to the cable car. You go up the funicular railroad, and then you change to a cable car, and that'll take you up to 6,000 feet. There's yet another cable car that takes you higher during the ski season. It'll take you up as high as 2,400 meters. But this is not the ski season, this is the summertime. So we're happy to just go up as far as we can. And then the tram took us back down the hill and into town. And of course there's a more modern part of town that's only a few hundred years old. We love to travel by train in Europe. Nothing beats it. It's comfortable, smooth, air-conditioned. Everybody gets to socialize. You'll meet some Europeans, passing a variety of tiny villages and quaint chalets, family farms. There's mostly dairy farming in this region. You'd think that all of the Swiss are farmers, but only 6% of the population is actively engaged in farming. The Swiss are more of an urban people. Chance to have a meal on board if you wish. You can eat in deluxe comfort in the dining car. They have hot meals that they cook right in the kitchen, or you can have a light sandwich at the snack bar, or just a cup of coffee if you like. They serve a whole variety of beverages to wash down your meal. You might be traveling at midday, so you can have a big lunch, or in the evening have dinner. Restaurant on wheels, gliding through the heart of the Alps. You can also bring a picnic on board the train. You can carry your own sandwich and bottle of water or whatever. They don't mind. And sit at your seat, enjoy the Vista Dome effect. And what scenery. This is a room with a view. Traveling just doesn't get much better than this. We were really impressed by the scenery along this route from Innsbruck, leaving Austria and heading into Switzerland. We had majestic mountains, and as you see here, some beautiful lakes. And the train tracks go right along the very edge of the lake itself, so you can enjoy the scenery without any disruption. And there's some pretty marinas and beautiful homes along the way.